Thank you, Jenny. So I'm Caran again, you guys, and I'm gonna make this part quick before we jump into our activities. I'm the community engagement specialist, and I just want to talk about, sorry, why it's important to get the community involved. That nothing's gonna move forward without them. They are the heart of the work that we do and pushing the work forward. And this is where they live. We're trying to make sure we provide them a quality of life. And so, really quick, I'm going to give you an example of a community I work with, which what on a grant that I worked with when I met Jen. You can go on to the next slide for me. Um, so, just really quick, why community is important? Reduces barriers, builds relationships, creates those solutions, empowers the community, and community talks. Um, just I, I have a reputation in St. Louis City because of my consistency. And my first step was listening to what they needed, what they already knew, so I can know where to plug in those educational pieces. Because I can't go in assuming anything. They're going to shut you down and they're going to talk about you, and the word's going to go around, and no one's going to work with you. So we have to build that trust before I can even start educating them, because they have to trust me that I have their best interest at heart and want to deliver the best information possible so that their communities can be revitalized. Um, and so that's why I start with making sure I'm knocking down those barriers for participation, and then I can empower the community. I can't empower them first and then try to hear them out and knock down barriers. It doesn't work like that. You can go to the next slide. Here is in a community called Huddle Tracks in West City. We call it Wild Wild West. In St. Louis, is prostitution, illegal dumping, the most amount of illegal dumping. Homelessness is heavy. And this street, Huddle Tracks, is 3.5 miles. It's like from end to end of a community. It's a very odd street. It looks like an alley, but it's not. They put dumpsters in this on the street, and that's why it resembles an alley. It's welcoming to homelessness and dumping. Um, in this picture that you see in the middle, a young lady, couldn't have been out of her 40s, was living in that space. This was her, her items. You know, I almost said her waste, but it's not waste for her. But she created. She doesn't have a way to put it. It's full of cans. And so with this situation, the community in Huddle Tracks called me first. I worked a couple of different hats in St. Louis, Missouri, but this was for the mini grant, the trash free water mini grant I was working on. They called me first, and I was honored that they called me, because that means they trusted me to get the job done, to reach out to the right people. So this took the alderwoman of this area, a community manager, someone who deals with quality of life, the refuse department, um, the autumn. So everybody had to come out, and then all of the community members from Hodemar Tracks. And they have about 30,000 residents, and this street stretches from end to end. And you just walk up 3.5 miles of homelessness and illegal dumping. I'm just really trying to paint that picture for you of just this one space that can be revitalized and empower the community. Fight first to get the garage demo, because if you just remove the trash, they're gonna just set up shop again. We had to relocate the young lady to a shelter. We collected all her cans, recycled them to put that cash back into her pocket. And you can see the first pictures when they finally went through the process, and it moved rather swiftly. But you know why it moved swiftly? Because it was so many voices involved. We supported the community. The community could have gotten it done by themselves, but the more people involved and you shake up the all the people, things are gonna happen and start moving and shaking. So that's what happened here. And so the last picture on this far right is all of the trash removed. They did a major community cleanup. Like I said, the young lady was relocated, and then they did demo the garage. You can go on to the next slide. So I already spoke a little bit about facts about Hodemont tracks. Just take that in. 3.55 miles of stretch, and like I said, this area receives most of the illegal dumping that happens in St. Louis City. So we had to make sure we got our hands on this community and work with them. And I worked with them for about 2.5 years, and that cleanup took place before the end of last year. So that is the relationship building and the time it takes, and along with other programs and things that we implemented. Oh, you can go ahead. All right. So how we do it is, like I said, honest communication. I'm sorry, honest conversation. It has to be led by community. They have to be involved in every single step. You have to educate them in every single step. It's because they really, really are eager to know, what are we doing? What are the processes? What policies do has to be put in place? They want to participate in all of the parts, but you have to let them know what those parts are to participate in. Collaboration, partnership, compromise, and diligence. And that comes again from the community. They're so diligent. Um, you can go ahead to the next slide. Okay, so these are some of the lessons we learned. You can take that in. Engage early is my biggest takeaway. Please don't make a mistake of, like, well, I have all of the pieces, I have the funds, I have the education. I'm gonna tell them what to do. It's not gonna work. You're gonna be stagnant. um, and celebrate your small wins. I don't know that example I showed you on Huddle My Tracks might be a big win for you guys, but for us, the amount of work we have to keep doing, that actually was a small win. But it was a worth celebrating for the amount of people who participated. And it was a win for me personally, again, because I was so excited that they trusted me to be a part of that project. Okay, next slide. All right. So we were tasked with activities. So I want you guys to really, really participate in these next set of activities. We're gonna talk. We're gonna play a little basketball. We're gonna walk around the room. So I want to get you up and moving. Somebody looked scared when I said basketball. It's okay if you're not coordinated. It's all right. First I want to let's argue a little bit. Let's get some arguments started. So that's Jen's favorite thing to do is argue. Trust me. So, um, in the back of the room, you can't really see it. It says agree on my left, and then it says disagree on my right. And so you don't have to go towards the paper. You can literally stand up and just move to a side of a room based on some statements I'm gonna read to you. Just go to the side of the room and you tell me if you disagree or agree. Okay. Again, agree, disagree. Next slide for me. Remember, it's time to argue. So what do you think? First, let's stand up. Let's get up. You ready? Thank you. All right. So the first statement, do you agree or disagree? Plastic reduction is harder in low income communities. Just start moving wherever you think. If you want to disagree for the hell of it, do it. We're gonna talk about it. It don't matter. I am not judging you at all for where you want to stand. Okay, one more time. So I'm gonna read the statement, and you just move to the side of the room saying you agree with the statement or disagree. This my left is agree, my right is disagree. Okay, and the statement one more time is plastic reduction. Do you agree or disagree that plastic reduction is harder in low income communities? So if you're standing over here, that means you agree that plastic reduction is harder in low income communities. If you're standing over here, that means you disagree. All right. Yeah. Themselves in the community, in low income community. Yes. Disagree. One more time. I'm sorry. Yes. To reduce the plastic waste. All right. If you, who wants to go first over and just give me a quick reason why you disagree on this side? Anybody? No one wants to share out?
So I don't think I necessarily agree that it's harder for poor people. I mean, they just buy less stuff in general.
So you're saying
And
that
they're more apt to reuse things, like to pass an article of clothing on from one child to the next. Yeah.
to summarize what you're saying, so I can understand, you're saying in low income communities they're buying less, so it's that makes it a little easier for them to use less.
I'm saying that people in wealthy communities often buy things like boats, like extra cars, like whatever that use a lot of plastic. So it's going to be harder for them to be like, oh no, I can't have my boat, than for a poor person to say, oh, you know what, I can't buy this cotton shirt because it costs more than a plastic one.
Okay. And what's your name?
Christine.
Christine, thank you for sharing. Later on, you're gonna see why I'm gonna say who was the one. I want you to say I was the one. Okay. You'll see later. So if I say who was the one, you're gonna say what?
I was the one.
All right. Yes.
Which has a more difficult time reducing, or which consumes more? Or are we just agreeing or disagreeing with whether or not it's difficult for them? I mean, and I was doing so based on a lack of education or funding, resources, understanding, programs. Yeah.
On the reservations, we don't get to choose how we get our food. We get the government cheese. We don't get to say so what it gets wrapped in.
What
You know, or
doing
like we get dropped
Yeah.
off bottled water because we don't have running water. You know, what are you gonna drink? The polluted swamp water or
Or
the
you gonna
bottled
pay
water
for
that
it?
gets brought to you by the government? Like, you know, so that's why I was standing on this side personally,
Yeah.
because like sometimes like we don't have choices on it.
So one, to answer your question, what's provoking your mind to say whatever it is you want to say, ask the question. That's what we want. We want you to say, well, what is this asking? Because if you are saying rich people are consuming more, or are you saying, well, I have to take what I can get because my environment, where I didn't choose to grow up, or are you saying, I want you guys to say what you feel this statement is saying to you. So thank you. Yes. Oh, hold on a second. So you asked the question, but you provided.
Well, mine was more kind of rhetorical because I didn't think that we were comparing. I definitely agree that there's, more waste, I would assume, with a wealthier community that's able to consume more. But I think that this was just asking if it's harder in low income communities to reduce it. And so that's why I was kind of, I guess, asking and making sure that I was on the right track there. But I wasn't comparing them. I don't disagree with what you're saying, but I don't think that that's what the discussion is.
Okay, no, that's fine. And what's your name?
Jessica.
Jessica. Okay, when I say who was the two, I want you to say I was the two. All right. One more. Anyone? Yes, sir.
All right, so I'm seeing your question is about communities, not individuals. And when I was living in a much wealthier community in DC before I moved to Philadelphia, where I live now, which is low income, I had less income then than I do now, but I had more ability to do plastics reduction because I had a farmer's market across the street. I can get food that way. I also had a CSA, community supported agriculture, that can bring a box of fresh food from the farm to my door. I don't have that service where I am now. And so I was able to produce very little waste, about as much in 1 year as people do in 1 day in this country, because my food packaging, which is a lot of the waste that people have, was almost zero. So yes, low-income communities have less access to these kinds of things.
Thank you. So we're gonna take one question for the next statement. I appreciate all of you guys participating. Single-use plastic bans are the best solution. Move to the side of the room that you want to agree or disagree with. Single-use plastic bans are the best solution.
I know.
Do you
that's what I was just
agree
wondering. I'm
or
like,
disagree? If you want to stand in the middle, that's fine with me. Make it what you want. All right. One person either side of the room. Yes.
If it's banned, it's not there, so it can't pollute, so we don't have it. So it's
Okay.
not an option. So yes.
Okay. Last question. Thank you for sharing. What's your name?
My name is Sophie.
Okay, I don't have anything for you later, but thank you, Sophie, for sharing. All right, community engagement is more important than policy change. Let's go. What do you think? You agree or disagree? Community engagement is more important than policy change. Do you agree or disagree?
Sorry.
Come where you are. All right, one person would like to share. Yes. What's your name? Hi, Jackie.
Hey, Jackie.
I do feel that community engagement is more important because I feel that, and this is what I tell kids all the time, to show up, stand up, and speak up in your community meetings, because policy or politics or however you want to call it is not action; it's the reaction to our action, and that's how it happens.
I love it. Thank you for sharing.